Let's talk about confidence. What is confidence to you, and what does it look like? What does it look like in men? What do you see as confidence in women?
I would say that confidence in men is usually displayed by somebody who's relaxed, unperturbed, as Corey always says, is not triggered by things that I say or my friends say. Somebody who's just can roll with the punches and is relaxed in conversation. That's for men. For women, I would say confidence would have more to do with looks, honestly, because women are so um,
Facey.
yeah, like we have makeup and outfits and heels and nails and I don't know. So I guess somebody who is can walk in a room and just hold their head high. But honestly, for men and women, I would think it somebody that's super confident is somebody that can walk in a room and run the room, can walk up and say anything to anybody and feel relaxed and make everybody else feel relaxed. That's really important, in conversation. It's making the other person feel relaxed and able to open up.
Also, being able to be like kind of goofy and weird. I feel like kind of just being yourself and like making jokes and being humorous and being yourself is kind of being confident. Because if you're suppressing all your real emotions and like how you actually feel, how like your personality, then you're not ever gonna reach your full potential. So being confident is just knowing that you can be yourself, and if no one approves and no one likes you, then whatever.
You're not trying to gain other people's approval.
Changing yourself or trying to be someone else or putting on a mask is like a lack of confidence.
True.
Because you don't like yourself, you're not happy with who you are, so you try to be this other thing. That's not confidence. Being confident is being fully you, and I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And in modern times, I feel like social media has a big role. If you go on someone's Instagram feed or Facebook feed and they have all these pictures of them in outfits and with people, I feel like it takes a lot of confidence to be able to post a picture of yourself online for everyone to like critique and judge. I feel like that's a big factor of confidence.
What I always say in my videos is confidence is doing what you know how to do and doing it really well. In other words, repetition is the mother of skill, and so the more you do things over and over and over and over and over again, you get better at it through trial and error. For a guy, confidence is having a vision, having a goal, having a dream for your life, something that you want to accomplish, something that's emotionally compelling, that's exciting, that gives you internal enthusiasm, that gets you up early in the morning, keeps you up late at night. If you see a pretty girl on the street, you'll go and approach her. If you lock eyes with a girl and you can tell that she likes you, you go over and talk to her instead of your eyes dipping and freaking out and running away. And it's just being comfortable in yourself, knowing what you bring to the table, loving yourself, valuing yourself, and having the attitude that I'm a gift, I'm amazing, I'm beautiful, I'm hot, I'm sexy, I'm a good-looking guy, or I'm a good-looking girl. And going for the things you want in life, it doesn't mean that you lack fear or worry or doubt that things aren't going to work out in your favor. It's you know what you want, you're going to feel the fear, but yet you're going to take action in spite of the fact that you still feel fearful, because you trust that some way, somehow, eventually the sum of all of your actions eventually will pay off. I often talk about how accomplishing big goals are always like a decade-long type of pursuit, because in our society, everything's instant gratification. I got to succeed now. If I go out on a first date with a girl, a guy's already thinking about what her kids are going to look like, where we're going to get married, what we're going to do, and yet he hasn't really even talked to her, gotten to know her yet. And it's being able to live in the moment, the present moment, because it's the only moment that exists. And most people are either worried about what may or may not happen in the future, or they're living in the past and what happened in the past instead of focusing on the process. Because success is all about the process, the routines, like we talk about working out. Even when you don't feel like it, you go and you do those things, or making green juice, or eating healthy versus eating a bunch of goldfish crackers or whatever it happens to be. It's doing the little things you know how to do, even though you know maybe a decade, 15, maybe 20 years from now, all of your efforts today are finally going to pay off, and trusting that you'll figure it out along the way. It's like when I started this business, I had no idea how. I knew what I was going to do, but I had no idea how to package it up, how to monetize it, how to figure out to go from the vision I had in my head to being able to communicate to people the value proposition that I had so they would read my books or hire me to coach them or go and read articles on my website. And it's whenever you start a big goal, you don't necessarily know the how you're going to get there. You know why you want it, you know what you want, but you don't really understand the process. And it's through taking action, trial and error, that you figure out things that work, things that don't work. Like today, before we started shooting, we were having all kinds of problems. The circuit breakers were tripping and turning off, and so half the lights would go off, or the computer would go off. And I haven't had these problems before, and you get frustrated and throw your hands up, and then it's like everything I was trying was not working. And eventually figured out, had to shut some things off because you can't see it on camera. We got a ton of lights in there. It's kind of like a stadium, like a football stadium in here, because 4K requires a bunch of lights to work. And it's just grinding even when you're irritated and things aren't going well. It's just because success is a process, like any profession.
It's critical thinking.
Yeah.
You have to be able to tap into your critical thinking. I have a question. Were you always confident, or did you learn that confidence through your business? Did you start out confident?
I had a vision, and I believed that it would work out someday. And a big part, and I wrote about this in Mastering Yourself, was going to the Catholic high school that I went to, and going to the school with the kids that I went to school with. I mean, a lot of them came from some of the wealthiest, most successful families. And if I mentioned some of their names, you guys would know who they are because you'd recognize their businesses. And going to their houses, going to parties, getting to know their parents, you start to recognize it's like these people aren't any smarter than me. I can see myself doing what they're doing. And you see that they're regular people, whereas in the middle class neighborhood where I grew up, it's most of the people work for the phone company, or they were electricians or carpenters or tradespeople. They had small businesses, that kind of thing. And what I noticed about people that had money and were really successful, they tended to be nicer, they tended to be kinder, they tended to be in better shape, take better care of themselves, they tended to eat better, they were more patient, they were more relaxed. And getting to spend time with them, I recognized that I didn't feel like they had anything on me. I felt like I belonged there, like I was kind of an equal.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I didn't at the time, when I was, in my teenage years, I knew I wanted to be successful someday, but I really didn't know how I was going to get there. I had a vision for the things that I wanted to accomplish, but it's like a big part of that was just the peer group who I went to school with. And that was I talked a lot about, that to my parents over the years. And that was a big reason why they sent us there, because they were hoping that my brother and I would make friends and meet these kind of people. And you realize it's like they're just regular people. They got problems, they got issues, they got things that they doubt themselves. And I was always hungry. I knew I wanted to succeed in life, but I didn't really know how I was going to get there. Mm-hmm. So it's like when you decide what you want to do with your life, you don't necessarily know how you're going to get there, but you got to start taking action. And if you're an entrepreneur, or it's like any endeavor in life, you got to get comfortable with failure, because especially being an entrepreneur, most of your ideas don't work. Most of the permutations that you do don't work, and you can't get discouraged by it. I think it was Henry Ford. He said, success is going from one failure to the next without any loss of enthusiasm, because it's kind of like Thomas Edison with the light bulb. He kept trying different materials, and thousands and thousands of things that he tried didn't work, and he wasn't discouraged. He was like, each time he found something that didn't work, he could cross that off his list. To him, it was a process of elimination. Eventually he believed that he was going to figure it out.
Failure was part of the process.
Yeah, exactly. So in any big endeavor in life, you got to get comfortable with failure. Mm-hmm. It's like we're talking about earlier, the art class that you had. Gracie had an art class over the summer, and I remember we were sitting at lunch about a month or so ago. Last time they were down, and we were filming, and she had a bunch of things that were assigned to her. It was like 6 or 7 hours worth of work, and the teacher just basically said, "You did it all wrong. Do it all over again." And she could have easily said, "Oh, screw this. I put 6 or 7 hours," and the teacher just didn't accept any of it. I'm just going to drop that damn class. But you stuck with it, and you did it, and you turned it in, and obviously you passed the class.
Got an A minus.
Got an A minus.
Take it. Take it.
I'll
Still
take
an A.
it. Exactly.
That's confidence. That's the kind of thing that builds your muscle and your emotional muscle and your mental muscle and your belief in yourself, is those little successes and little victories, as opposed to looking at the fact that 95% of the time you're failing and you're not really getting anywhere. But you have to look at failure as kind of like a process of elimination. You keep learning from everything, and it makes you better.
Relationships too, same thing.
Yep. Failing forward, I guess you call it.
I've learned so much from all of my failed relationships, but it's still progress.
You got to date the wrong one to find the right one.
Yeah, you learn a lot about yourself, through the failures. It's eye-opening. If you stay with the same person that you dated in high school, good for you. That's awesome. But there's a lot of lessons built in failure,
I feel like that's what failure is just lessons.
Yeah, I believe life happens for you, not to you. And so all those relationships, I never looked at them as failure. I just looked at them as a great experience. Each experience with each different person, it makes you better. You learn, like you were talking about, you learn what you want from the people who don't give you what you want. And it's a process of trial and error. Instead of feeling bad about it, it's having the strength to say, hey, this is not working for me, or I think I can do better, or this has been fun for the last few years. I want to see what else is out there. I'm excited about what comes tomorrow.
You helped me with that, because I had a breakup about 3 years ago. And instead of feeling sorry for myself, I was like, wow, that was really awesome, that time I spent with that person. And tried to look at it that way instead of, being like, man, messed up again. Like, why doesn't it ever work? You can really go down that path with anything you do, is, oh, man. But if you look at it in the positive, like, wow, that was a lot of fun. We made great memories. I learned so much about myself and, relationships and other people. And it was awesome. And on to the next. You don't have to wallow in misery. Same with your business failures. So you had to close up shop. But wow, look how much you learned from that. Running a business for a couple of years is probably the same as getting, an MBA. Honestly, you learn so much. It's hands-on. So, I kind of look at relationships the same way.
Talk about failure with business. Business is just full of failure.
Oh, it's what are the statistics with restaurants? Have you ever seen the statistics for restaurants?
It's only like 5. I think 5% of them actually make it.
Yeah, I want to say that was
and small businesses. It's low too.
Yeah.
Most businesses don't make it past, I think it's 5 years, and then they go under.
But it was just the starter pack. The next one's better. Like you were saying in your article the other day about people always see successful people and go, oh, well, they just got a lucky break, or they had the advantage. But you were saying you don't see the 10 years that they grinded. Late nights, weekends when everybody else was partying. You don't realize
playing
the work
video
they put in,
games.
the work that they put in when everybody else was having a good old time. They were on the computer at 2 a.m. doing their research or practicing or building their models or their business plan. Yeah.
Living like a broke college student, so you have more capital available to experiment and spend money on advertising or whatever
it's a lot of work
to figure out your business model.
So even if the business doesn't make it, wow, look how much you learned, and then the next one's going to be that much better because you learned those. You made those mistakes. Yeah. So same with relationships. Made some mistakes. Wow, the next one's going to be so much better because now I know those red flags to look for, or I know how to react in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I look back at my old relationship and I'm like, in that situation, I should have done this. And in that situation, I should have done this. And now I'm going to use that for when I am in those situations in the future. And even friendships too. I feel like friendships are the same as relationships.
Yeah.
Definitely learn from past friendships and see the red flags like you were saying beforehand.
Most friendships last longer than the relationships anyway. too. There's a lot of value in friendships.
Yeah. I feel like friendships are a lot
They
more
stand
important.
the test of time. Corey and I, we've been kicking for like, I don't know, 25, 30.
Since was 93?
It's been a long time.
Back in the day when we were going on double dates with our
Yeah,
ex-spouses,
with our exes.
working together.
Whoops. But yeah, we stood the test of time.
You did.
Yeah.
People are meant to be in your life. They always stay in touch.
Mm-hmm.
There's just certain people that you never drift too far away from.
Or the universe just brings you back together somehow in a weird way.
True.
Right? Like running into an old friend that you haven't seen in years, and all of a sudden you like go to lunch, reconnect.
It's like you haven't missed a day.
Or like a friend from your old town just like happens to move in next to you. Or I feel like that stuff always happens all the time.
True. I always hear stories of people in Europe, and they're just doing a tour, and then they run into somebody from their hometown. You know,
That's cool.
In Italy. You know,
I'm trying to think if I've ever done that.
we were standing in line behind people at Disney one time, and the people behind us went to school with your cousins. It's just like a small world.
Mm-hmm.
We're all connected.
We are.
Kind of got off topic. Sorry.
We ran with that one.
It was good.
Start